In a recent email, a small developer reached out to me about a Kickstarter for the Sega Dreamcast. He told me that he wanted to port his game there since it was so heavily influenced by Sega's work. Shadow games had already been released on the PC, Xbox, and Switch, but I confess I had never heard of it before. I mean, keeping up with the indie scene these days is nigh on impossible thanks to what seems like 50 games coming out every damn week. But his description intrigued me. He claimed it was basically a love letter to the original Shinobi, so I just had to give it a try. After a few minutes with the Xbox version, I just knew I needed to cover this. The Shinobi DNA is strong with this one, and new games for the Dreamcast are always a worthy topic. So let's take a look at Shadow games and see what it's all about. Starting up the modern version of this, you are met with what feels like a direct entry to the original Shinobi and Shadow Dancer arcade titles. You start out with just simple ninja stars, but quickly pick up items that transform you into a bona fide killing machine. Just like Sega's Joe Musashi, projectiles can be very effective at distance against the weaker foes, but close-in melee weapons are often needed for the stronger enemies. Also, like Shinobi, you play on stages that have both upper and lower platforms that you need to jump to, as well as prisoners that need to be rescued. Checkpoints are scattered throughout the levels to give you a bit of help, and you have screen-clearing magic attacks that deal damage to everything. You'll also notice that it's pretty difficult when you first begin. You'll need to quickly adjust to the way enemies fire projectiles or melee attacks as soon as they appear on the screen. It'll test your reflexes even on the easiest setting. There are also landmines you can find to lay down for enemies to run into, and once you score your ninja power-up, you have a small double jump to help you negotiate obstacles better. There's also a few bonus stages you can play on that allows you extra score and items, again reminding you of Sega's arcade classic. I can honestly say the Sega influence is quite powerful here, and I would expect a Shinobi remake to not be too dissimilar to it. It checks all the boxes for great arcade action, a throwback to a simpler era that many of us still crave today.
Checkpoint.
Right from jump, I was impressed with the visuals here. At first it was the color and nice parallax in the backgrounds, but it went beyond that with some killer variety in locations and some pretty neat graphical effects. And much like the gameplay, the influence of Sega's work is unmistakable on the visuals. While these locations look new, you'll be overwhelmed with a sense of deja vu seeing them. And thankfully, the great parallax and visual effects just keep on coming with each new area. Running across a moonlit bridge filled me with a powerful feeling like someone was making a 2D update to all my favorite Sega 16-bit games. The backgrounds, the set pieces, the enemies, I mean, this is nostalgia 101 in full force. Had this been on the Saturn as Shinobi 4, I wouldn't have complained one bit. While the core influence of this is most certainly Shinobi, you get an idea that other Sega staples contributed as well. There are certainly a number of elements that remind me of Streets of Rage, and that bit of magic seems to have made its way into the music selections. I liked most of what I heard, so here are a few examples to see for yourselves. That brings us to the Dreamcast Kickstarter that is now live until the end of January. I was very happy to see that the developer has a playable demo up for the very first level so you can see a proof of concept, and so far I like what is there. The 640 by 480 60 frames per second graphics are smooth and look great, and while it doesn't have every effect that the modern version has, it's also not finished. Messing around with the demo, you can see that the parallax is still there, and so is the Great Arcade Challenge. Pump up the difficulty and this game will hand you your ass in a heartbeat. There will be support for VMU saves, rumble packs, and the VGA box. The Dreamcast will also get the entire game just like the modern editions, over 15 levels, 6 boss encounters, and multiple difficulty levels. There are many tiers of support you can join, including those that will get you a physical copy of the game when it releases. If you like what you have seen here, head on over to the Kickstarter and take a look at what you can do to support the project. If a Dreamcast version is something you don't care about, I still recommend you take a look at the modern incarnations if you like old school arcade games. The Xbox Series X release runs in 4K, and the Switch edition is on sale for $18 at the time of this video. Either way, the Dreamcast demo awaits, so go see if your Dreamcast can use some classic Shinobi action. I'm Sega Lord X, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.